You just turned 30, maybe 32, maybe 35, and somewhere along the way you saw a headline or a TikTok that said something like, "If you're not investing by 25, you're already behind," and it made your stomach drop a little. Because you looked at your bank account and there's no investment portfolio, no stocks, maybe not even a retirement account with real money in it, just life. Rent, bills, maybe some debt, maybe a kid, maybe a job that barely covers everything. So here's the question that's actually been sitting in the back of your mind. Is it too late? And I want to answer that honestly in this video, because the answer might genuinely surprise you. My name is Jack, and if you're starting your investing journey in your 30s or later, this video is built specifically for you. Before we get into it, hit subscribe right now, because this channel exists to make money simple for people who feel behind, not ahead. Let's get into it. Let's be honest about why this feels scary. Somewhere between your 20s and now, you probably watched other people's lives on social media. People posting their investment gains, their financial independence countdowns, their six-figure portfolios at 28. And it's easy to look at that and think you missed some invisible deadline. Like there was a window and it closed, and now you're just late. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Most of those posts are the exception, not the rule. The average person doesn't start seriously investing until their 30s or even their 40s. You're not behind some imaginary finish line. You're actually right on time. You just didn't see anyone talking about it because "I started at 33 and it worked out fine" doesn't go viral the way "I retired at 30 does. So let's say something that might sound controversial. Starting in your 30s is not a disadvantage. It's a different starting line with different advantages. Here's why. In your 30s, you likely have more income than you did in your 20s. You have more clarity about your actual expenses. And most importantly, you have decades left, plural, for compounding to work. The person who started at 22 isn't beating you because of some magic. They're beating you because of time. And you still have a lot of time. Let's look at the actual numbers, because this is where the anxiety usually comes from and where it usually gets resolved. Say you're 32 years old and you start investing $400 a month. If the market averages 8% a year, which is a reasonable long-term historical estimate, by the time you're 65, that's 33 years of growth. That $400 a month becomes roughly $770,000. Now compare that to someone who started at 25, investing the same $400 a month. By 65, they'd have around $1,270,000. Yes, that's a real gap, about $500,000. I'm not going to pretend that gap doesn't exist. But look at the number again. $770,000. Starting at 32. That is not too late. That is a genuinely life-changing amount of money, built from a completely average, unremarkable monthly contribution. And here's the part most people miss. If you can increase that contribution over time, as your income grows, which it usually does through your 30s and 40s, that $770,000 number climbs fast. Someone who starts at $400 a month at 32 and increases it to $700 a month by 40 can realistically close most of that gap with the 25-year-old. So if the math actually works out fine, why does starting in your 30s feel so stressful? Because of comparison, not math. When you're in your 20s, nobody's watching. You can experiment quietly. But by your 30s, there's this pressure. From social media, from friends who seem ahead, from your own inner voice. that makes every year that passes without investing feel like a bigger and bigger mistake. Here's the problem with that mindset. It makes people freeze. Instead of starting with $200 a month today, they wait until they've figured out the perfect strategy, which usually means they wait another year or two. And ironically, the anxiety about being behind is exactly what keeps people behind. The single biggest risk in your 30s isn't starting too late. It's waiting even longer because you feel like you already missed the window. So here's exactly how I'd approach investing starting in your 30s, step by step. Step 1. Stop comparing your year 1 to someone else's year 10. This sounds obvious, but it's the actual first blocker for most people. Comparing your starting point to someone else's current portfolio isn't information. It's just discouragement. The only comparison that matters is your account today versus your account a year from now. Step 2. Get your emergency fund in place first. But don't let it delay investing forever. You want 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside before you take real investing risk. But, and this matters, you don't have to wait until it's fully built to start. Many people build their emergency fund and start small, consistent investing at the same time, in parallel, rather than doing it in strict order. Step 3. Max out any employer match first. If your workplace offers a retirement match, say they match 4% of your contributions, that is free money. Before you invest anywhere else, get that full match. It's an automatic, guaranteed return that beats almost anything else available to you. Step 4. Automate a fixed percentage of your income, not a fixed dollar amount. Here's why this matters in your 30s specifically. Your income is more likely to change than it was in your 20s. If you automate a percentage, say 15% of your income, your contributions grow automatically as your income grows, without you having to remember to increase anything manually. Step 5. Keep the investment itself boring. Just like starting in your 20s, the goal isn't to pick winning stocks. Broad index funds that track the overall market remain the simplest, most historically reliable approach for the vast majority of people. In your 30s, just as much as your 20s. Step 6. Revisit and increase your contribution every single year, tied to your raises. This is the step most people skip. Every time your income goes up, before your lifestyle expands to match it, increase your investing percentage. Even a 1 to 2% increase per year, compounded over 20 to 30 years, makes an enormous difference in your final number. Think of it like planting a tree. The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, but the second best time is today. A tree planted today won't be as tall in 10 years as one planted a decade earlier. That's just true, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. But a tree planted today will absolutely still grow into something big and valuable. The only actual mistake is refusing to plant it at all, because you didn't plant it earlier. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what if I'm in my 30s with debt, or a mortgage, or kids, and there's genuinely not much left over at the end of the month? That's real, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't. Here's the honest answer. Start with whatever you can, even if it's $50 a month. The goal in year 1 isn't the amount, it's building the mechanism, the automated habit. so that when your financial situation does loosen up, whether it's a raise, paid off debt, or lower expenses, the system is already there and ready to absorb more money. People who wait for the right amount to start almost never start. People who start small almost always end up increasing it naturally. So let's bring this together. Starting in your 30s puts you at a different point on the timeline, not off the timeline entirely. The math shows a real but very manageable gap compared to starting earlier. And that gap shrinks the more consistently you contribute, and the more you increase your contributions as your income grows. The real risk isn't your starting age. It's letting comparison and anxiety keep you frozen for another year, and then another. Get your employer match. Automate a percentage of your income. Keep your investments simple, and increase your contribution every year without exception. Do that consistently for the next 20 to 30 years, and your 30s start ends up looking a lot less late than it feels right now. If this gave you a realistic, honest picture of what starting in your 30s actually looks like, hit subscribe. This channel is built for people who feel like they're behind and want a real plan, not hype. And I want to know, what age did you actually start investing? Or are you about to start now? Drop it in the comments. I read every one.